Imagine battling for your life, fighting a brutal illness, only to wake up one morning and find your husband, the man you loved, the man who vowed to be there, gone, vanished, leaving nothing but a cold, impersonal note. That was my reality. And then, for agonizing years later, she returns, expecting me to pick up right where she left off. But she had no idea the new life I'd built, and the shock I had waiting for her. 5 years ago I married Jenny. We were both 25, young, full of plans. We dated for 3 years after college, and getting married just felt like the natural next step. We were happy, or so I thought. But just 4 months into our marriage, my world shattered. I was diagnosed with stage 2 cervical cancer. Looking back, there had been signs, subtle whispers that something was wrong, but we'd brushed them off as exhaustion, minor ailments. When things truly spiraled, when the pain became unbearable, that's when we knew it was serious. And that's when the diagnosis hit like a physical blow. Suddenly, my life revolved around hospitals. For the first few months, Jenny was my rock. She was perfect. She'd care for me, manage all the medical reports, talk to the doctors. I felt like I didn't have to worry about a single thing. When chemotherapy began and my hair started falling out, she shaved her head in solidarity. It was a beautiful, powerful gesture, and I truly believe she was in this with me, every step of the way. But then things changed. 6 months crawled by, round after round of treatment, and I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse. Slowly, subtly, I felt her pull away. When I tried to talk, she'd shut down, her eyes distant. I was already fighting for my life, and her emotional distance felt like a searing rejection. I started picking fights, desperate for her attention, any attention. It worked for a while, but it was a fleeting victory. She just moved further and further away from me, until she was practically a ghost in our home. Then, 2 weeks before our first wedding anniversary, I woke up to an empty bed. A note lay on the bedside table. "Don't look for me," it read. "I don't want to be found." My blood ran cold. A prank, surely? Called, messaged again and again. Nothing. After a few agonizing minutes, the truth sank in. She'd blocked me. Not just my number, but social media too. Panic seized me. I called my in-laws, praying they'd have answers, a logical explanation. They claimed ignorance, promised to call back. They never did. My parents, bless their hearts, moved in, expecting it to be for a few days, just until Jenny came to her senses. But she never did. She was just gone. The emotional recovery from that abandonment was brutal. A marathon of pain on top of my physical battle. I tried desperately to find her, but she had erased herself. She was truly gone for good. And I was left in a deep, dark hole of depression. About a month after her disappearance, my in-laws finally showed up. They were cold, distant, almost robotic. My heart sank when they told me why they were there. To serve me divorce papers. It was a dagger to the gut. I knew then, with a horrifying certainty, that they had been in touch with Jenny all along. They just looked through me as they relayed her message. She wanted nothing to do with me, she was sorry. But she couldn't waste her life with me anymore. It hurt. Oh God, it hurt so much. It was clear she was leaving because of my cancer. I understood it must have been incredibly tough on her. But after 3 years of dating, a year of marriage, I thought we at least deserved an honest conversation. A real conversation. But she didn't even think I deserved that. It took time, a lot of time, to process the emotional wreckage. But when her parents handed me those papers, I signed them. No drama, no fight. There was nothing left to fight for. My lawyer, of course, went over everything with a fine-tooth comb, but her terms were surprisingly fair. We had no joint assets, and neither of us wanted a protracted battle. So, after the waiting period, our divorce was finalized without us ever having to see each other. My lawyer communicated with hers, and that was it. Just silence. The silence from them was deafening. I was shattered, completely broken, but I knew I had to keep going. My condition, already precarious, worsened under the weight of the heartbreak. My parents, trying so hard to be strong for me, were visibly struggling. Seeing their pain, I knew I couldn't give up. I couldn't just let myself go, even though, God, it would have been so easy back then. I decided to fight. And I don't know if it was a mental shift, or if the treatments finally started to work, but somehow I made it through. Today I'm fine. And for the past 3 months I've been cancer-free. It was the hardest 4 years of my life, but I emerged with a profound gratitude for every single breath. Part of that gratitude meant giving myself a second chance at love. And that's why 6 months ago I let my ex-girlfriend move in with me. By the way, if you're still with me and finding this story unbelievable, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More incredible stories are coming your way. Let me give you a little backstory. My ex-girlfriend, Anna, and I met in college. We dated for 2 years but broke up shortly after graduation because we wanted different things. We were part of a larger friend group, the same group Jenny was in. After Anna and I broke up, we didn't really keep in touch. But a few months later, Jenny reached out. We started talking, became friends, and then she confessed she'd always had feelings for me, even when I was with Anna. With Anna out of the picture, she wanted to ask me out. A couple of months later I said yes. Even as things got serious with Jenny, she always seemed insecure about Anna. To avoid any discomfort, I slowly, reluctantly phased Anna out of my life. Eventually I even blocked her. Our mutual friends told me Anna was incredibly disappointed, hurt that I'd ghosted her, but at the time Jenny was my priority. I was serious about her. I married Jenny and honestly put Anna completely out of my mind. But then came the divorce. I didn't post about it publicly, but I told a few close friends. And that's how Anna, I guess, found out about the divorce and my diagnosis. 5 months after the divorce was final, I received an email. It was from Anna. She was so sweet, expressing how sorry she was about everything I was going through. The divorce, the cancer. She said she'd love to be friends again, but completely understood if I wasn't comfortable. She just wanted me to know she was always there if I needed to talk. Back then, I was still reeling from Jenny's brutal abandonment. I couldn't respond. 10 months went by, 10 months where that email lingered in my mind. I thought about replying so many times, but I just couldn't. Until finally I had made my peace. Jenny wasn't coming back. My friends pushed me, urging me to at least talk to Anna. She was making an effort and I knew I wanted to clear the air. So I responded, platonically. And that's how we started talking again. We slipped back into an easy friendship. It was such a comfort to have someone to talk to regularly. Especially someone who understood me like Anna always had. My other friends were wonderful, but with Anna it was different. Our connection was special. Talking to her brought me a happiness I hadn't felt in years. My parents noticed too and encouraged it. For months we only spoke online. Then she started visiting. Slowly, surely we got closer. I wasn't ready for anything romantic, but Anna was patient. Last year she finally confessed. She had never stopped loving me. Seeing me with Jenny had broken her heart, but knowing I was happy had been enough for her to stay away. Now that Jenny was gone and we were friends again, she felt she had to tell me. She didn't expect anything in return. She just needed to get it off her chest. Her honesty touched me deeply, but I was so conflicted. It had been 3 years since my divorce, but thinking about Jenny still left an uneasy feeling. We never got real closure. I liked Anna. More than liked her, I loved her, probably even more than before. My parents and friends saw it. They reminded me Jenny had been gone for 3 whole years. If she hadn't cared enough to return, she never would. They urged me to stop living in the past, to embrace the present, to give Anna a chance. I had fought for my life once, and I knew I needed to value every precious moment. So a few weeks after her confession, I decided to give us another try. A few months later, she told me she wanted to be the one to take care of me. She wanted to move in. After much thought, my parents and I agreed. She was already spending most of her time here anyway. It's been incredible. I love having her around. After she settled in and understood my routine, my parents moved out, finally getting some well-deserved time for themselves. We're not ready for marriage just yet, but Anna and I have talked about it. Maybe someday soon. For the past few months I've just savored being cancer-free. Living with a woman who truly loves me, and who I love back with all my heart. Everything was perfect. Until earlier this week. Jenny reached out. She had unblocked me everywhere, sending me a message on Facebook. She admitted she treated me horribly, that I didn't deserve it. She said my cancer diagnosis wasn't my fault, but she'd gotten frustrated and taken the cowardly way out. She owed me closure, honesty, and she wanted to get back together. She'd missed me terribly these past 4 years. She was ready to give our marriage a second chance, even if it meant caring for me for the rest of her life. My intentions were clear. I was trying to hurt her. I hadn't posted about my recovery anywhere. Only family and close friends knew I was cancer-free. So she clearly assumed I was still struggling, a dying man, and after 4 years of freedom, she decided to waltz back into my life. It was so insulting, so infuriating, that she actually believed I would take her back, no questions asked. She hadn't even bothered to explain where she'd been, or what she'd been doing for 4 years. That's how confident she was. My blood boiled. I decided then and there that I was going to teach her a lesson. I invited her over. Not for the reason she thought, but to show her my new life. She had no idea about Anna, since I've always been private about my relationships. I only posted about Jenny when we got married, and very few people knew about Anna and me. A couple of days ago, Jenny arrived at my house. Flowers in hand, chocolates too. I opened the door, and the first thing I did was call Anna to stand beside me. "Jenny," I said, my voice calm. "I appreciate the apology, the flowers, the chocolates, but I've moved on with my life, and I don't want you back." She lost it. Immediately. Anna had always been her biggest insecurity. Jenny started screaming, accusing me of betrayal, of cheating. I mean, how can you cheat on someone who abandoned you for 4 years? But I didn't care about her reaction. My goal was accomplished. I had wanted to shock her, and I had. While she was having a full-blown meltdown on my porch, I simply shut the door. Anna and I went back to watching TV. Anna didn't have a problem with what I did. But my parents and friends, they thought it was unnecessary, that I was just inviting toxicity back into my life. And honestly, they weren't entirely wrong. After Jenny left that day, her parents haven't stopped calling, emailing. They think I'm heartless. They said if I had moved on, I shouldn't have given their daughter false hope. They insisted Jenny was truly sorry, wanting to fix things. Now they're accusing me of deliberately ruining her mental health, even suggesting I had an affair with Anna all along. Even though they knew I blocked Anna for Jenny, they're trying to paint me as the villain, as if their daughter was innocent. My parents and friends, while not making a huge deal out of it, did voice their disapproval. They understood my need for revenge, but ultimately they felt it was petty. I feel a little guilty, I guess. I could have avoided all this drama by just ignoring her message. I knew it was petty, but do I think I owe her an apology? Absolutely not. It's nowhere near the scale of what she did to me. Abandoning me when I was fighting for my life, disappearing for 4 years, not even showing up for our divorce. Her parents weren't apologetic then. Why should I be forgiving now? What would you have done in my place? Have you ever had someone reappear in your life after a betrayal like that? Tell me what you think. I really want to know. Hi everyone. Thank you so much for all your comments. They've been incredibly helpful. First off, I did talk to my parents and friends about why I did what I did. I don't deny it was petty, completely unnecessary even. I could have avoided the whole mess by not responding. But in that moment, I just felt like I needed some closure, some sense of agency. I didn't think it through. It was a heat-of-the-moment decision, probably not the best way to handle it, but you know what? I don't have any regrets about it either. My parents and friends didn't have much to say after I explained myself. We just decided not to dwell on it. It wasn't worth jeopardizing our relationships. They weren't insisting I apologize to my ex, they just expressed their feelings and left it at that. No guilt trips, unlike my in-laws. Now we've agreed to disagree, and everything's fine between us. The real problem? Still my in-laws. They are absolutely furious. They genuinely believe I've emotionally tortured their daughter by inviting her over, and they demand a huge apology from me. Seriously, they've sent me multiple emails, insisting I apologize in person and clarify that I wasn't with Anna while Jenny and I were together, because apparently, Jenny is completely broken down. It's astonishing. Why do they expect so much from me now, after we've had no real relationship since the divorce? They knew what Jenny was doing was incredibly wrong. Yet they sided with her, helped her hide during the divorce, denying me any emotional closure. So, back then it was okay for her to disappear, but now because her mental health is at risk, I suddenly owe her an explanation? I'm just playing by the same rulebook they set. It's been 3 days since my last update, and things were quiet, which felt almost too good to be true. And of course it didn't last. Anna and I work from home, but I guess Jenny and her parents didn't know that. They probably assumed Anna wouldn't be here if they showed up in the morning. This morning they did just that. When I opened the door, they immediately started demanding that I speak to Jenny, demanding an explanation for everything that's going on because she's confused, and they can't allow their daughter to go through this. I literally just rolled my eyes. I told them straight up that I was not entertaining any of their BS. I owed them nothing. Jenny didn't bother to give me an explanation when she left, and now she could think whatever she wanted. I wasn't giving her the satisfaction of a reaction or an explanation. I told them the only reason I'd opened the door was to tell them this to their faces, and if they didn't leave, I would call the cops. That's when Jenny snapped. I came back for you, and you do this to me after everything I've done. How could you? She screamed, calling me a horrible human being, petty and selfish. Then she started cursing. Anna, who had overheard everything, was suddenly beside me. She looked absolutely furious, and I could tell it was taking every ounce of her self-control not to tear into Jenny right there. I didn't want that. So I pulled out my phone and told Jenny and her parents one last time. Leave or I'm calling the police. They bickered for a few more seconds, but as I started dialing, they finally backed away, still spewing curses at me. That didn't faze me, though it definitely enraged Anna, who shouted a few choice words back at them. Finally they left. And here's the kicker. Anna told me she had started recording everything on her phone. There isn't much video, but she has a full audio recording of Jenny yelling and cursing at me, and she didn't stop recording until they drove away. So now we have that. We know for a fact that if they show up again, we won't just be pressing charges for trespassing. We'll be contacting our lawyers to file a restraining order against Jenny and her family. I really hope it doesn't come to that. I think I've said everything I needed to say. Okay, so it's been a couple more days since Jenny and her parents showed up at my house. Since then they haven't tried to contact me, and honestly I was incredibly relieved. I did talk to a couple of friends about the whole ordeal, and they agreed that my initial actions were a bit petty and unnecessary. But they also acknowledged that Jenny and her parents' reaction was completely unhinged. They suggested speaking to a lawyer just in case, but I don't think I'll need to. Last night I received an email from Jenny. She told me she's moving to Europe with her parents and will never bother me again. Apparently, after she left me, she moved to California for a new job. A job she had applied for while we were still together. She admitted she couldn't bring herself to talk to me about it because she knew it was impossible for me to relocate back then, and she didn't even want me to consider it. She called herself a coward, saying she left to avoid any confrontation. She'd had a few flings over the past 4 years, but she could never get serious with anyone because she always regretted what had happened between us. She recently applied for a position in Europe, and had been back here for a couple of months to convince her parents to move with her for a fresh start. That's why she reached out to me. Now that she was back in town, she wanted to apologize and give our relationship another shot. But seeing me with Anna the other day made her realize she had no right to intrude in our lives, especially not after everything she put me through. And she definitely had no right to question me, nor did her parents. So now she's doing the decent thing and leaving me alone. She said she didn't expect to be forgiven, acknowledging it was too little, too late. But she wanted to apologize for everything, for being a coward, for throwing tantrums, for sending her parents after me. She knew Anna loved me and she could see I was happy. So she's going to stay away. I have to say I'm genuinely glad she came to this conclusion. I didn't reply to that email, but I made Anna read it, and my friends and parents read it too. They all agree that this is finally enough to put an end to everything that's been going on. And I agree. Now we can all collectively move on. This is good because in a couple of months, I think I'd really like to get married to Anna and start a brand new chapter in my life with her. I guess I finally got the closure I needed, and I'm finally ready to get married again, to start a family, and just live my life to the fullest once more.